Hi, my name is James Stone, and I'm going to be the instructor for Art 297A, Introduction to Scripting. I'm going to introduce myself and just kind of quickly talk about the course. So, like I said, my name is James Stone. I live in San Francisco, California, so I'm exactly on the opposite side of the United States, but I want to let you know I live and breathe online, and so I'm going to be very available for you as we take this course. So generally speaking, you might wonder what kind of expectation you might have in a course like this. And so I want to let you know that if you send me an email, you should get a response within 24 hours, except if it's over the weekend. Then I will guarantee that if you email me, let's say on Friday, that I will respond by Monday. And if there's any change to that, like I go out of town or any sort of limited availability, I will definitely let you know in advance. The other thing is getting grades, right? Grades for your assignments and quizzes and this type of thing. And so I'm going to get into it in just a little bit and show you when the assignments are due. But for larger projects that are due on Friday, I will have them graded to you by that Monday, the following Monday. And for all other things such as quizzes, you're going to have those grades available to you within 24 hours, so by the next day. So tell you a little bit about myself. So I have an MFA in new media art, and I'm kind of an interesting person who deals with technology, programming, maybe computer science, in fine art or media art. And so I've written up a little bit of a description where I actually show some of the projects that I've worked on. So I'll get into that in just a minute. So that's a little bit about me, but I wanted to show you a little bit about how the course is set up and how it's going to run. So right now, I have logged into Canvas, which is canvas.psu.edu. And when you get your homepage, this is going to change with, depending on the discussions and all the different types of assignments we have. But I want to show you how everything's set up. So over here on the left, you should have a menu. So syllabus is exactly like it sounds. And so I'd recommend you take a look through this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time like you would in the first day of class, but this is going to outline exactly how all the grading works in the course, the different grade scales, things like academic integrity. And then down at the bottom, which is pretty important, you'll see there's a weekly schedule and a week-by-week schedule. Those are definitely worth looking at. So the main part of the course is under modules, and everything's going to be organized week by week. So whenever I send out any sort of email or video, I'm going to be adding that to this top section, email and communications. And then I've got some course information. So weekly schedule, week by week, some information about the books and some information about the journal that we're going to be doing. I also have a section on the group presentation, which is going to be staggered and due on different weeks, depending on which group you're placed into. And then if we go down, you'll see that we have all of the course content arranged by week. So for example, we are now in week 1, and you'll see that we have assignment blog due on Tuesday, and it's the blog course introductions. And if we click on this course introductions, it'll take us right into where we can add our own introduction. You'll see there's an introduction from me, so be sure to go online and read it, and also add your introduction. For every sort of blog or assignment, once you click on it, you should see all of the information here about what the requirements are. And if there's ever any sort of question, definitely email me. And my email is located on the syllabus for the course. So for the first week, we're going to be doing introductions, which is just kind of a short intro for you to introduce yourself to the rest of the class. And also we have another blog with a video. So we have Hello World Processing. You'll see it's about 40-minute video. It's really fantastic. It's going to introduce you to processing, which is the language and API and IDE that we're going to be using throughout the course. It's going to talk about what that project's all about. It's going to show you some examples of current projects that have been created, and it's going to get a little bit into kind of like the philosophy behind the project. So definitely check that out, 40 minutes. And then once you've watched that, we're going to do our blog. So I'll talk more about this, but our blog assignments are typically going to be broken up into 2 sections. So the first section you'll see here, assignment blog post due Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, we'll post our response to the Hello World Processing video. And then we'll come back on Thursday. And remember, these are due dates, so this is the last possible time that you can respond by Thursday. And so if we go into the Hello World video response. You can read a little bit about what the requirements are for both posting and for the response. And that's pretty much it. So these are your first assignments for week 1. None of these require any of the books, but I would recommend that you right away try and order your books. I'm not sure if they're available at the Penn State bookstore, but you should be able to easily get them, most of them from maybe even a normal bookstore like Barnes & Noble, or you can always order them online. So I want to go over a couple of things in the course just quickly, just to kind of hopefully explain a little bit better. So the first thing I'm going to open up is the weekly schedule. And so because it's an online course, if you've taken an online course before, you might know that this is the case. There's going to be a lot of communication. There's going to be a lot of writing, a lot of responding to things. And so there's going to be a lot of interactivity in the course, and there's going to be little tiny assignments that are due at different times throughout the week. So it's really your responsibility to kind of know what's going on, to know what's due, know when it's due, and get them in by that time. So I'm going to explain them kind of in color and in order. So I'll start with the assignments. So you might look at the syllabus and see what types of assignments we're doing. Basically, the first one we're going to be doing is creature. Then we're going to be creating a drawing tool. We're also going to do an art piece, optical art. We're also going to do a game. And then we have our final project. And so all of these projects are broken up into single week segments, and you're going to pretty much see that after a couple of weeks, once we get started, pretty much every single week, you're going to have an assignment due on Friday. And when I say due, everything's going to be due at 11:59 p.m. There's a small note here. So basically before midnight Eastern. And this is like to the minute. So if it's like 1 minute past 11:59 p.m., the system's not going to let you upload it. So make sure you do it in advance of that time. So starting with the assignments. So you'll see that our assignment is due on Friday. And so you're going to turn those in through Canvas before 11:59 p.m. And you'll see I've color coded these things. So hopefully it makes more sense. So assignment due will be on Friday, and then Monday. This isn't something that you're going to do, but I'm going to provide you your grade on the assignment Monday by the same time, basically before midnight. And then I'm also going to provide a critique. And this might be a little bit different than what you're used to in some other studio art courses where you have like kind of a formal critique and everyone participates, right? If you're in in-class setting, what's going to happen is it's going to actually be broken up into 2 sections. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a thing called Open Studio, and you'll see in yellow here, we have Open Studio Post, Open Studio Respond. You might think of these kind of like a pre-critique of the course. And so as you're working on your project, you're going to have to respond to certain things or post your progress, both on Tuesday and also respond to other students. So this is kind of like what a critique process would be, except we're going to kind of be doing it before the assignments due. So kind of in process assignments, right? And so that's going to be the interactive part. And then what's going to happen is on Monday, I'm going to provide you with a grade. And then I'm also going to provide kind of a group critique of everyone's work so that everyone can kind of see what my comments are. And there is some sort of feedback. So if you want to respond and add something to it, you're welcome to, but it's not required that you're not going to be graded on responding to the critique, right? It's just something formal that I'm providing to you. However, the Open Studio is where you're going to be graded. So you want to make sure that you participate in that. So we've talked about the assignment. We've talked about the Open Studio, right? Which is going to be kind of a pre-critique in progress critique as we're working. So the other part of it is the blog. And I talked about in week 1 how we have a couple of blog posts. And this is going to be broken up into 2 days. So typically there'll be a blog and you're going to have to post, which means to create your own entry for the blog every Tuesday. And then on Thursday, typically you're going to have to come back and respond to 2 other students' posts, and there's going to be some direction of how to do that exactly. So Tuesday and Thursday for the blog. Okay, so sometimes we're going to have a group assignment, and you can read more about that in Canvas under the group assignment. It'll tell you exactly what's going on. But basically, we're going to have different groups presenting different chapters out of our book, which is called Form and Code. So this is one of the 4 books that's required for the course. And so there's going to be group student presentations. They're going to be leading the blog post for that week. So that's going to be due on Monday. This isn't something that's going to happen every single week, but you're going to go and show your preference in week 2, choose which topics you're interested in, and then you'll be assigned by myself into a group, and you'll work with that group to create a presentation. This is just something you're going to do one time during the semester. And so once you're done with a group presentation and running the basically creating questions and a prompt for the blog, then you'll be done. So this is not every Monday, but it's going to be just one Monday out of the entire semester. So the final thing that's a little bit less typical in an art or studio art class is we are going to be having quizzes. And the quizzes are going to be dealing with learning processing, right? And this is the book that we're going to be looking at for kind of the technical part of how we're learning the processing language. And so typically every week there's going to be 1 or 2. In some weeks towards the end we won't have, but we'll have 1 or 2 quizzes, and these are required and you're graded on them. And so those have to be done by Thursday. And so you'll see that I don't have it listed anywhere here, but it's going to be important that you finish your reading prior to Thursday so that you can complete the quizzes, right? We also have 3 tests that are basically going to be cumulative, covering the same material that's on the quizzes. So if you've been doing well on the quizzes and you've been studying the material for that, you should be really good for the test. But when we do have a test, and this is listed, I'll show you in just a minute on the week-by-week schedule, those are going to take place on Tuesday, which is the same day that you're typically going to be doing your open studio post as well as your blog post. So this is kind of how our week is going to go in general. And these are kind of the last days that you can turn things in. Because they're the last days due, so obviously like the assignment, for example, is due on Friday, right? At 11:59 p.m. But you could do these in advance. The only thing you really couldn't do in advance is this response, right? You could do it early, like you could turn it in on Wednesday, for example, if you've got something going on. You could also do the quizzes much earlier in the week. So these are kind of the last possible days that you can turn stuff in. And in general, I'm going to release 1 week ahead. So let's say you have something going on the following week. Maybe you're going to be out of town. You have something coming up. You can kind of work ahead and take care of things in advance for the course. You don't have to wait to the last minute. So there is flexibility, and that's part of the great thing about taking an online class. We don't have a strict time that we're going to be meeting. So there's no time every week that we're going to meet. So you're able to kind of manage your time on your own. The kind of downside of that is it can sometimes be pretty stressful if you wait until the last minute, or if you're not super organized about when to have all of your assignments in. So you can always refer back to this, and this is generally how we're going to go through the week. And I'll point out one thing that I think is important on the calendar. So you'll notice here on January 14th and January 14th, so the Hello World video response, and if we go to the calendar, you'll see that these are all due on Thursday. This is kind of a limitation of the Canvas system. So even though the blogs are shown being due on Thursday, you must post on Tuesday, and I get a timestamp of everything. So this is a requirement. Even though it's not here on the calendar, you're going to have to still post on Tuesday, even though it shows Thursday. Now, Thursday, you have to respond, and then after that, it'll be closed, and you won't be able to respond anymore. So I hope that's pretty clear. If you have any questions, like I said, send me an email. So the other thing I wanted to go through really quick is our week-by-week schedule. Okay, so the first thing I talked about, right, was our first book, Learning Processing. And this is going to be kind of the core book that we're looking to for the technical part of learning to program. And you'll see here, it says reading, quizzes, and tests. And so you'll see we're right here in week 1, and you'll see none intro. In week 2, we're covering pixels and processing, chapters 1 and 2, right? You also see there's a note on January 18th. Assignments bumped to Tuesday. So if there's ever a holiday, a scheduled holiday, and there's assignments that fall on that holiday, like say this Monday, those assignments will always be due the day following. And so you can take a look at this. So we're going to cover pixels, processing, interaction variables, conditionals, loops. And And then we're going to have a test. So our first test is going to be in week 4. And the way to think about it, in week 4, we're going to cover conditionals and loops in our quiz. And test 1 will cover everything prior to that. So test 1 will basically be chapters 1 through 4. And then we'll talk about functions, objects, math, algorithms, debugging, libraries, and images. And we'll have test 2. I'll just give you a little bit of a warning. These topics can tend to be a little bit harder to understand, especially week 5 functions and week 6 objects. And then finally, we're going to go through week 11. We're going to cover 3D, video and text, and sound. And test 3 will cover everything basically through chapter 17. You see, I also have by assignment. So our first assignment is going to be on week 3. So you don't have to worry this week about that particular assignment. And like I mentioned before, we have Creature, our drawing tool, which is 3 parts. Our op art will start the game just before spring break. And then we'll come back and do section 2 and 3 of the game project. And then we're going to do final project 1, 2, and 3. And you'll notice week 15 we skip, and then our final project is due on Monday. And so this is the last week of classes, and it'll be due on that Monday. So this is the one time that our assignment is going to be due at a different time. But I've given you all of week 15, so you're actually going to have just a little bit more time over the weekend than you would with a typical project part. So everything should be good. And typically I've allowed people to perhaps resubmit their final project if they weren't happy with the grade. And so having it due on Monday allows me to do that with this online course. And in our final section here under group projects, it just talks about which group is going to present what. And so in week 4, group 1 is going to present the repeat chapter. Week 5, group 2 will present transform. In week 6, group 3 will present parameterize. Week 7, group 4 visualize. In week 11, simulate. And you'll see I tried to move these away from spring break because I don't want anyone working on a group project during spring break or anything like that. So that's why there's a little bit of a gap. Okay, so we go back to our modules. And remember, this modules is going to get the core of the entire course. So you should always go there when you're going through and trying to figure out what to do next. And you'll see we have some information about the books. And so I talk a little bit about maybe where you might want to get those books and if you want the hardcover. And then I've got this section about the journal, which is kind of the final thing that I want to discuss for this week. And so this introduces exactly what we're going to be doing. But one of the other books we're going to be going through is called Steal Like an Artist. And this is a really fantastic book. It's a New York Times bestseller, and it's basically full of a lot of inspirational, interesting ways to encourage creativity and to think about your art. And so there's a companion to this, which is a journal, which we're going to be using in the course. And obviously it's called the Steal Like an Artist Journal. And I want to just show you a couple of pages and prompts here. And so some pages here are going to have a prompt, right? Like this one right here, 30-day challenge. Some will be blank where you can just draw. And you'll see here, we have like write a fan letter. And I'll flip through a couple of sections, make a mixtape. And so these are all just kind of creative exercises, right? Here's a place to paste pictures of your heroes. And so some of them are kind of drawing based, some are multimedia, some are text or writing based. And so if you take a look online, you're going to see exactly what the requirement is. And so basically there's 3 sets of pages for each week, 6 pages total. So kind of think of 3 2-page spreads, right? And I'm also giving you some opportunity to skip it. And I'm also giving you an opportunity, if you're writing about something you find personal or you don't want to share with the course, to block it out with like a post-it note. And so you can just kind of put that post-it note over it when you're taking a photograph or scanning it, so that you don't have to disclose that information to the class. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And I just want you to know I am a living, breathing human being, hopefully like you are as well. And I'm really excited to be taking you on this journey to both learn how to program and also how to create art with programming And that's really my focus and something I'm really passionate about. And I'll tell you, I'm a strong believer that anyone can learn to program. If you're new to programming, you have just very little experience, maybe you've had a bad experience in the past, or perhaps you've never programmed at all, it can be a little bit daunting and it can be a little bit intimidating. But I can tell you, anyone can learn to program. I'm self-taught and I learned through reading books. Originally, my mom taught me when I was like in second grade a little bit of programming, but pretty much all of my programming background and knowledge is all self-taught. I didn't learn this in a university or anything like that. So I feel really strongly that all of you have exactly the tools you need to learn how to program. So if you're new or you're a little bit intimidated about this, write me an email. Let me know what your fears are. Let me know if things you don't understand. Like, I'm here for you to better understand the course and to better learn how to program. And I would say the other big thing is just make sure you try and keep up, especially in the beginning, because if you skip a couple of things in programming like functions or conditionals, it's just going to get really confusing because the way the course is designed, each week we build up upon the material and the concepts in the week before. So it's really important that you keep up. If you find yourself falling behind a little bit, make sure you kind of review the chapters that you've missed. Make sure you try and keep up the best you can. And I think you're going to have a really good experience. At first, it's going to feel really daunting and really difficult. But I'll tell you, if you give it some time and you put in some hard work, by the end of the course, you're going to be writing complete programs with interactivity, sound, motion, video. And these skills and the idea of programming and being able to transfer that, you're going to be able to use for all sorts of different jobs or courses at Penn State or other types of programming courses. It's going to be very valuable to you in your career. So again, remember, I'm a human being. I am the instructor for the course, and I want you to know that you can reach out to me if you have any questions or if you have any concerns or any sort of feelings about the course. Email me. Email is the best way, and we can always jump on the phone, and I'm here for you guys. So I want to wish you the best of luck in this semester, and I'm really excited to have you. Thank you.